You know, Paul Pierce is one of the most respected NBA players of all time. Did great things with the Boston Celtics. Brought them back to championship glory along with KG, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, and the host of guys who were on that squad, Kendrick Perkins, amongst others. But now in his post-NBA career, he hasn't fared too well as a commentator. So now he's on the podcast circuit. But what he says right here is something for us to think about. Here's a former NBA player who made millions, and even now at this point is not willing to marry a woman legally in the United States, because as he states right here, marriage is for old folks and one more group of people. Let's listen to Paul, man, and we'll come back and chop it up on the real tip.
Marriage is for old people and poor people.
Why?
Because when you broke, our parents, like my moms and all them, they married on a merit of like, okay, we're going to put our incomes together, have all these kids. And now when you get old, somebody that had to be by your side to take care of you. She got married when she was 70. It was perfect. She had somebody by her side the whole way through.
So do you...
I really believe that. Like, that's what, like, outside of that, it's no advantage to a man. Why is marriage an advantage? What advantage?
Tell us the truth!
All right, what's good, YouTube? It's your man, Book of AlphaRonomy, a.k.a. Dr. B.O.A. Yep, I got time today. There is no benefit to marriage for a man. Legal marriage has no benefit. Now, there are men who are legally married, and they champion the whole legal marriage thing. Legal marriage is not necessary. If you and a woman are together and you live like the average legally married couple, you live together, you're in the house, you have children, you do all of that, that is considered marriage in the eyes of the Most High. There is no point where you have to go through all of the legal ramifications. And I know some beta male man Johnny gonna come in here and say, well, that'll be a way. So you don't know what you're talking about. Always be talking about God. Always talking about God in the Bible. That'll be a. Let me tell you something. God say, obey the law of land. That'll be a way. He say, oh, that'll be a way. So I don't know what you're talking about. The land say well, the land don't say you got to do that. No, it don't say that, that'll be a way. Yeah, I thought it did, but no, it don't even say that. But still, that'll be a way. Obey the laws of the land. See, I'm going to act like a woman and act like I ain't even say that right there. That don't even count. Man, I still ain't going to listen to you no more because you don't know the Bible. Unsubscribe. Okay, unsubscribe. So before you go, let me tell you this. When you really think about it, there is no justification for legal marriage. No justification. Well, what do I get when if we divorce? Well, if you're a good enough wife to me, babe, I'm gonna write you into the will. You're gonna have what you have. You understand me? All the talk, there's no benefit for a man except if you're poor and you need a woman to bring her income and help elevate your life. If you don't need a woman's income to help elevate your life, why would you do such a thing? Now, it benefits a woman. Why? Because a man who marries a woman, legally marries a woman, is likely in love with that woman. Right? I mean, unless he's just young and dumb and married because she got pregnant or something. Outside of that, a man who marries a woman, who establishes himself and then marries a woman, he feels like that woman's the cherry on top of his life. But let's listen to this man right here, whose wife cheated on him, and he's stuck trying to pick up the pieces. Why? Because he's married to her. Let's take a look at this video, man. We'll come back and chop it up on the real tip.
So we did go through infidelity in our marriage.
Both of y'all?
No, but...
You did? It's normally the man, isn't it? Is it normally, or no, okay, it be the women on the low. You went through infidelity?
Yes.
Wow.
And so we were so disconnected in our relationship that we had lost who we were and who we were supposed to be.
Did you find out, or did you tell him?
I told him.
You told him? Why'd you tell him?
Because it was eating me alive. And one of the biggest things for me is I didn't want to be like my father. And I realized that I had become my father.
Wow.
And to know that I caused the same pain that I hated him for doing to my mom.
Oh, gosh.
And I realized there was a lot of unforgiveness, a lot of unresolved issues because of the physical, verbal abuse that I experienced as a child, and then the sexual abuse that I experienced as a child.
I'm telling you, brothers, when a woman has this type of baggage, she cannot dedicate herself to you. Even now, as she's saying, she came and she wanted to be honest about it and all that. It's just because she already had too much emotional baggage piled on top of her. And that was just too much. And so she took the last piece off. It's just like with trash. When you put trash in a trash can, you can't get the first piece of trash you put in there if you filled the bag up already. You got to dump the whole thing out to get it out. So if you want to remove trash, if you can't close the bag, you don't go to the bottom and remove something. You remove the last thing you put in. And so that's all she did. She removed that, but that's for her own benefit. But when you hear her talk about this damage, she can never bond with you if she's gone through these things. She can't bond with you. And so you're wasting time. And a woman who can't bond with you is always gonna ramble around. She's always gonna move around. She's always gonna dibble and dab. She's always gonna do that.
And all of those things had come to a head, and I was like, this is not who I want to be.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it like leading up to that, having that conversation?
Panic, fear, like my life is over. I have ruined the best thing that ever happened to me, which is my husband being my best friend.
I want y'all to hear that. Her husband being her best friend is the best thing that ever happened to her. Well, help me understand how something is the best thing that ever happened to you and you still ruin it. You still do something that you know is going to ruin it. That you know is going to ruin it. Now we'll look at the flip side of this in a minute when the guy starts to talk. But think about that. A woman will ruin the best thing that ever happened to her for a piece of meat, dog. I want y'all to understand that. For some wood, bruh. She'll ruin everything that's good for some wood because she's unfulfilled, because she hasn't fulfilled the sanctity of femininity in her life. She's allowed that to be taken from her and she's given it away and she's done all of these things under the sun. And now she's lost with the open wound that she's trying to dump things in to fill it. But it can't be filled. It's gaping. It's non-healing.
That was one of the things that stood out to me about him, is he was different than any other man that I had dated. You know, I know that we were young when we got married, but I had dated before, and he was so different from anybody else. And it just like, it broke me inside to know that here's the best thing that ever happened to me, and I ruined it. I really am not good enough. I haven't earned the right to be with somebody as good as him.
Now, a woman knows that before. She knows that. Man, let me tell y'all something. A man doesn't know when he's too good for a woman. But a woman knows when you're too good for her. She knows it. A woman that's extra jealous because she knows you're too good for her. A woman who just won't let there be any peace. A woman who's, man, I'm telling you, brothers, these women act out in a way when they get concerned, when they get worried, when they feel like they're about to lose. A woman would rather run you off herself than to live with the fear, the constant fear of losing you. Believe me when I tell you that.
Had a scene for me on how this conversation came about.
I knew beforehand.
Really?
Yeah, you do. You know. But because I was so disconnected, I was able to put that thing on the back burner, like whatever.
How did you know?
When you're a couple and your life together and your intimacy together, you know when that's not right. You know, my wife traveled for business, and so I'm not saying that everybody who travels for business is stepping out. That's not what I'm saying. But you know, I understood that the things I knew I wasn't meeting certain needs in her life. And so for me, I'm like, how are those needs getting met?
Wow.
And so, you know, I just, you know, really started to contemplate those things, and I knew. I was like, there is someone else. But I never confronted her about that. So when she came to me and she told me, that brought like a certain level. Obviously, anger came out in those moments. But that brought the challenge to me of now I have to contend with this thing. It's one thing when you think you know something, but you can just backburner that thing in your head. Yeah. It's another thing when it's right in front of you. Now you have to deal with it. You got to.
You know, man, it's crazy how a man will take on the responsibility for a woman's actions. Man, I don't give a damn what a woman ain't getting in a relationship. She sit down with her man and talk about it. You don't just, man, I'm telling you, bro, women feel like they have the right to just get what they ain't getting. I've heard women say this before, that if they not getting some from home, they have the right to go get it from somewhere else. Like, it's your job to make sure that there ain't nothing she lacking, because she ain't gonna have no conversation about it. If she lacking it, she gonna go to get somebody else that's packing it. And I want y'all to understand that here's a guy telling my man, I knew what I wasn't doing, and I wasn't doing this, and I wasn't doing that, and all that. Bro, nothing gives a woman the right to step out on her husband. Nothing gives a man the right to step out on his wife. Unless you have established with your wife that you're going to have other wives, then, and I ain't talking about other little scallywag, you just get to run around and be with strippers and all that. I'm talking about if you have established with her that you're going to have other wives, then that's a different thing. But if you haven't, and you got her living like it's just y'all, and then it ain't, bro, come on, man. That man, people out here wilding. And then you hear this sucker, man, with this old soft, friendly voice. Man, to my, it wasn't me. I know I ain't know what she was getting. I know I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do it. So I was wondering how these needs are being met. That means he turned a 304 into a housewife. Because if you can say, my woman be so hot and bothered that if things change between us, she got to have it. Any woman who's got to have it is not a wife, bro. She's something to play with, not stay with.
Really confront it now.
The fact that you're taking ownership on multiple parts of this is kind of confusing to me. I mean, one, you're saying, well, I knew her needs weren't met. Her needs need to be met. And somebody else is probably meeting those needs because I'm not. And the other part was like, yo, I'm internalizing it and this is making me a better person. Bro, I'm leaving. Hey, boo.
Yes, I'm leaving, bro. It's over. Bro, you cannot keep a woman your wife has slept with someone else. You cannot keep her. She is defiled at that point. She is defiled, and she will continue to drain your masculinity. And all this crying and all that, I bet she wasn't crying when old boy was throwing that lumber up her back. I bet she wasn't crying then. You know what I'm saying? I bet when that grind was on her spine, she wasn't crying, oh, I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. I bet she was laid up, man, all cuddled up with the guy, man, laying all on his chest and doing all that, man. You know how women do, man, when they really enjoy being with you. Bro, it just don't even make sense, man, for you to be doing this, bro. You okay with this? Well, I'm the reason that she cheated, and so, man, you crazy. That woman made the decision to go out there, man. Women make decisions to do things. And y'all got to stop justifying it and excusing it, man. This is a grown woman who knew what she was doing. Now, this is your escape key, man. You still trying to hold on to the bra. You know why? This is what happened, man. This is what happens. When you become emotionally attached to a woman, she has the power to do whatever she wants to do, and you'll never leave her. Emotional attachment is a trap, and you can never break free from it. You have to be out of sight, out of mind. You got to separate yourself. You got to move away. Otherwise, 10 years can pass. And if you're emotionally attached to a woman, bro, you still going to be caught up 10 years later. And I ain't making this up, man. I'm telling y'all what's real. One thing I ain't going to do is make up no foolishness for you, man.
I love you, okay? But I'm leaving. I can't in my mind justify someone hurting me in that way and me saying it's my fault. But I guess that's why y'all been married for 28 years.
Well, to be clear too, there are two people in a relationship.
Yeah.
And when somebody cheats in that relationship, there are people who are just not good people, right? And so they make terrible decisions, and they will continue to do that probably forever. But then there are people who make a mistake. And usually when that mistake happens, something is at the center of that thing.
Cheating is not a mistake, boy. This is a grown woman. You know what a mistake is? A mistake is when you do something that you think is right, and then you realize it was wrong. That's a mistake. Or you forget something. If you leave home and you got a crock pot on and it's on high and you meant to turn it on low, and when you get back, whatever you had in the crock pot is burnt. You made a mistake and left the crock pot on high. If you riding down the interstate and someone pointed at your gas cap because you left it open, you made a mistake unless you left your gas cap open when you just filled up your car, right? If you leave home and you pull out of your garage, you forgot to let the garage door down, and you get home and there's a snake in the garage, it's because you made a mistake and left your garage door open. You don't make a mistake when you say, I'm going to go and do this because I want to do it. I'm going to prepare to do it. I'm going to travel to do it. I'm going to think about it the entire way. I'm going to go through with it. And not only that, I'm going to do it multiple times. That's not a mistake, dog.
So, no, I can't be responsible for the decisions that Sabrina made. I got to be responsible for the decisions that I made. And I have to take ownership of the fact that my decisions have an influence on her decisions. That's the part I have to own. And so I can't own, her decision to be with another person and to cheat, have an affair. I don't get to own those things. Those are Sabrina's to own. What I have to own is, what are some of the things that I did during that time that had a really negative impact on our relationship? What are the things that drove wedges between Sabrina and myself? What are the things that made Sabrina feel like she couldn't come to me for the things that she needed? I gotta own those things. I can't ask her to own that.
Ooh-wee.
Listen, brothers, I'm going to be honest with you. All this sounds good for a woman, and it sounds good for a beta male sim mangina, which this guy is. But for a real man like me, like you guys, hell no. I don't care what I did. It don't matter what I did. If I ain't do you dirty, if you ain't kept me cheating on you and you feel like you need to cheat back, listen, I don't want to hear that about I was working too hard, I was going too much. You open your mouth and we talk about that. You tell me, listen, baby, you gone too much. I be lonely, I be needing you at home more than that. I be like, all right, baby, let me make this adjustment right here. Okay, well, let me tell you something. I need you to do this part right here for me every day. You do this part every day, I'll be done at this time. We spend the rest of our evenings together. We get to have dinner together. We get to do maybe, whatever we do, you can read to me or, whatever it is. We can do all of those things. That's all you got to do. What we hear is a man who is saying, because of my wife's lack of communication, it's all on me. Because of her lack of participation, it's all on me. Because of her lack of initiation, it's all on me. What you have is a man who married a woman that don't like him. You hear a woman say, he's different from everyone I ever met. Well, you've been sleeping with all those guys. If you've been sleeping with guys your whole life and I'm different from everybody you ever met, you don't want to sleep with me. You don't want to be with me intimately like that. His mistake is that he married the wrong woman. That's a mistake. To my best friend. Man, how you end up being a woman? I want y'all, man, listen. I want y'all to let me know down below if you got a female best friend. And if you got a female best friend, you let us know in the comments how that happened and how it's working out for you. And be honest and tell us also if you done smashed before or if you want to. Because I just don't see the whole thing, man. I couldn't imagine being a woman's best friend. Do you hear the type of shit women talk about? And I know some of y'all think, well, that make you help you understand women better. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. What those women do with whoever else they've been with don't matter to me because I'm a different dude altogether. I have a different set of demands and requirements from day one. So don't be this guy and never accept the fact that you made your wife cheat on you unless you cheated on her first.